What's poppin', peeps? Happy Saturday evening. This is T Money, aka DOTD1986, up in the house here to do a review for Saturday's BodyBags. So the movie I have for this Saturday is going to be Frankenstein's Army from 2013. Pretty cool take on like the sorry you guys can't really see the artwork there, but let's see, there you go. Anyway, pretty cool take on the Frankenstein genre, or Frankenstein mythos, subgenre, Frankenstein subgenre of film. Again, this was from 2013. It was directed by Richard Raphorst, who I'm not really familiar with anything else he's done. It stars Carl Roden as Victor, the mad scientist type descendant of Frankenstein. I'll get into that a little bit later. It also stars Robert Gwynlin, Alexander Mercury, Luke Newberry, Joshua Sase, a bunch of actors that I've never heard of. But Carl Roden, I guess, is a familiar name in the subgenre of horror, I guess, crazy mad scientist type people. But anyway, this was released by Dark Sky Films. It's also out on DVD. But yeah, you can get the Blu-ray for cheaper, actually, so do that. It's a Dutch-American-Czech found footage horror film. It was in 2013, when kind of like at the height of the found footage subgenre of horror. And I guess I'll read you, well, basically the synopsis I came up with is Russian troops encounter horrifying undead soldiers created by a mad Nazi scientist descended from Victor Frankenstein. On the back here it says, in the dying days of World War II, a battalion of Soviet soldiers find themselves lost in enemy territory. Stumbling upon a village decimated by an unseen terror, they're lured into the secret lab of a deranged scientist played by Carl Roden from Hellboy, and are forced to face off against an army of horrific flesh and metal war machines. A nightmarish fantasy thrill ride unlike any other, Richard Raphorst's Frankenstein's Army is a delirious plunge into the darkest depths of insanity. So the film is basically about a crew of Russian soldiers, right? Soviet soldiers, and they're supposedly supposed to go into this war territory to rescue some fallen comrades, soldiers, and they're basically lured into this hellish world, like it says on the back, nightmare world of monster Frankenstein's army, essentially. There's this mad scientist played by Carl Roden who is creating all of these. I'm not sure if they say it's for Hitler or what, but he's a descendant of Frankenstein. He's Frankenstein's grandson, actually, Carl Roden, aka Victor. And he's creating these war machines, basically, to destroy the enemy soldiers. Destroy the world, really, I think. Or all of the enemies of the Germans. I believe it's the Germans. So, and when they get there, obviously expecting to pick up their troops, they find shortly, soon thereafter, that one of the soldiers is actually a traitor, and he's the one who lured them there under false pretenses, or I don't know if that's the right word, but he basically told them, you know, we got to go rescue our comrades and do this and this, and turns out that he had other objectives that I won't go into. You have to watch the film, but basically is responsible for luring them into Victor Frankenstein's army of evil machines. And that's your film, pretty much. Cool atmosphere. I said some of the things I liked about the film was the atmosphere, war-torn. It mostly takes place in a bunker, but in the beginning, as they're heading there, it's kind of like a Russian outdoorsy, war-torn territory, which is cool. Definitely different from traditional horror films in that sense, as far as the atmosphere goes. And I said I liked primarily the special effects in this film were amazing. I actually read an article where the director, Richard Raphorst, talked about how he opted to go more with special effects, practical effects rather than CGI, because he's obviously a fan Sorry guys, I have to blow my smoke out the window. I shouldn't even be smoking right now, but anyway, and so he spent a lot of time, obviously, making sure the effects were top notch, and they definitely are. They're awesome. CGI a little bit, not bad though. Honestly, I thought it was mostly practical. That's what it definitely comes through. But the great gore is a result of the special effects. Very creative monster/creature design. So Frankenstein's Army of the Undead is basically like these metal war machines. People with knives for hands. Well, basically they're like human figures mostly, but they have like knives for hands or steel traps for faces. Just like insane creature designs, and it's very unique. It's very awesome. I say it's a combination of mechanic/human cyborgs or monsters, and they were great. I mean, it was awesome, very unique, and there were a ton of them, all different kinds, and it was basically my favorite part of the film for sure. The strongest thing it had going for it was the creatures and the designs, and the gore was awesome too. There's a scene with like where this guy's head gets stuck in a helmet and they rip it off and half the brain is stuck inside of it, and it's just gory as all hell, and it's awesome. And also the murders, the kills resulting from these monsters are awesome. Very gory. Okay, I'm gonna put this down while I finish the review. Very brutal, gory, and just awesome kills, and it's all like these things are designed, they're war machines, so they're designed to kill. And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, sorry. Let me see here. I said fast-paced action sequences. The film is very fast-paced, so there's not a lot of downtime, which is cool. It takes a little while to get to basically the climax where they're getting destroyed by these monsters, but once that hits, it's non-stop action, so it doesn't really leave you very bored, that's for sure. The theme of the film, I said, was medical experimentation, basically, during World War II. Let's see. Okay, so some of the negative things, I thought the plot was... It definitely lacked in plot, I think. Where the special effects were excellent, the plot kind of lagged. It was okay, and it wasn't bad that they related it to the Frankenstein mythos. I just thought, I don't know, definitely heavy on effects, not so heavy on plot, but still not bad. I don't really know what I didn't like about the plot, aside from the acting wasn't very good. I mean, the dialogue maybe wasn't the best. But another thing I didn't like about the film was the first-person found footage. Like I said, it was filmed during the height of the found footage craze, and that was kind of like, you couldn't get a good look really at the machines because the camera movements were so fast and fleeting. So towards the end of the film, past the climax, basically just the kind of like the finale, it starts to slow down, and you get a real good look at Frankenstein and one of his lead minions, and you can see them all, and obviously enough to say that they're awesome and it's the highest point of the film. But I just wish it wasn't shot in first person. I almost feel like it didn't have to be, and that kind of took away from your ability to really get a good look at all of the hard work they put into the creatures and all that. So that's pretty much it on the negatives, plot and first person. I'm sorry I couldn't really discuss more thoroughly what I didn't like about the plot. I just didn't think it was that good. The dialogue. And I know plot and dialogue, well, they kind of go hand in hand. So, and I just said the film also relates to the Frankenstein mythos because Carl Roden's character of Victor was actually the grandson of Victor von Frankenstein, carrying on his legacy on behalf of the Third Reich. And so that's your film, guys. That is Frankenstein's Army from 2013. Awesome film. Check it out if you like gore and war-torn Germany and gore and war and Frankenstein films. So, yeah, guys. All right. Have a nice weekend. Catch you next Saturday. Peace.